Welcome to the Shower Epiphanies podcast, where we explore your hidden thoughts and desires, revealing your greatest drop the mic moments. Now, here's your host, Art Costello.
Welcome to the Shower Epiphanies podcast. Today, Diana Devi is my guest. Diana is an empowerment coach for women 50 and older. Over her 30-year career as a pharmacist, she has counseled thousands of women on health issues, focusing on non-medication solutions. Diana has a personal passion for staying youthful through informed body, movement, and eating well. But it wasn't until she had her own crisis that she finally found her calling. And I am interested in hearing her story. So, Diana, welcome to the show. And can you tell us your story?
Well, thanks for having me with you today. And yes, I can tell you my story. So it was one of those things that I noticed about 10 years ago that I was starting to gain weight around the middle. I was not sleeping well at night. I had a hard time with thinking of how to spell words. And one day it was so bad, I couldn't remember how to spell the word with. And I have lots of formal education. And one of my things is I like words and definitions of words and spelling and all those kinds of things. So to me, that was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So there is something definitely wrong. I had my metabolism checked. It was really, really low. So I went to my physician saying, hey, what's up? Can you tell me, what I need to do and what's going on? And the response that came back floored me. It was, honey, you're just getting older and you're just going to have to figure out how to live with it. So at first, I was kind of depressed about it. And then I got to the point where I was actually angry. And I decided, okay, I've got 30 plus years of practice of pharmacy. I can figure out things to do for my body and understand how it works. I've been a mover since I was in high school. And so I know the importance of exercise, but I can figure out what a 50-year-old body needs to do. And third was nutrition. I started studying nutrition when my grandmother developed heart disease and decided when I was in high school that I might as well change my diet then, because if I'm going to have to change it when I get older, it'll be easier now. So I set about on a path, and that is what I did. And it was interesting because I gradually started talking about this with other women who were having the same issue, because they would say to me, so what is it that you're doing? Why do you look so good? Why do you have all this energy? And that's how I got started.
Boy, that's an incredible story, really. I mean, we one of the things that struck me with it was that a male doctor told you that, tried to tell you what you should do. And, my personal experience with, I don't even know how to put it. I lost my wife to ovarian cancer, and her doctors prior to her ever being diagnosed were all male doctors who just told her, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I'm very in tune to men telling women how their bodies should feel, because I think a lot of time they fluff it off. And women and men, I think we as a species know our bodies better than any doctor does.
That's absolutely right.
And, we really should take charge of our own destiny in all facets of our life, but particularly our health. And you doing that, it's not easy, but it's the right thing to do. And I'm just proud of you for doing that, because I think I always recommend that women go to women doctors and men go to men doctors. I think a lot of the male doctors talk down to women, and I don't like it. So that's just my personal opinion. So
yeah, well, I think there's a lot of, and some of it may be kind of historical, the way that physicians were trained is that women were considered to be more of the hysterical variety, right? And I think that goes back, for hundreds of years. And I think slowly as more women have come into the profession, that's beginning to change. But it wasn't until Beatrice Healy was appointed as the head of the NIH that national health, right,
Mhm.
She was the first woman, and she was the one that said, maybe we ought to do studies on women instead of just white males.
Well, it makes sense, So now you do empowerment coaching for women. Can you tell us how that all works and what you do and how you help women?
I can. So, first of all, is that understanding that the way you operate, so to speak, or manage or take care of a 50-year-old body is not the same as the way that you take care of a 20-year-old body. And you know what? We don't realize that there's such a difference, but you wouldn't feed a toddler the same as you would a 20-year-old. So, why would we think that we would feed a 20-year-old body the same as you would a 50-year-old body? Because you have different needs and your body processes things differently and all of those kinds of things. So, being able to help women understand that your body is a wonderful gift, and you're at the age that you are now, and there are so many things that you can do to feel better, to look better, to actually gain back what many women talk about feeling invisible. And as they get older, they feel like they're not seen, they're not heard, and it begins to affect a woman's confidence. And then they begin to feel like, well, maybe what the world is telling me is right, and maybe I don't matter. And I'm here to say, yes, you do, and you can take charge of your life and your health.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely done a good job. I know I've met you personally, and I know that you do take care of yourself. You're very, very polished, I guess is the word. Maybe I don't know how to say it, but you're very attractive. Let's put it that way.
Well, thank you.
You're very attractive. But do you primarily work with women over 50? Do you work with any younger women? I mean, it seems almost like sometimes it would be better to start with younger.
Yeah, I have had women that I've worked with that are in their 40s. And I had one woman the other day contact me. She's in her early 30s, and she is concerned about what it is that she needs to do in order to be healthy. A couple of friends of hers have been diagnosed with very serious health conditions, and she's scared. She doesn't know what to do. And so I have the ability to work with women that are younger than that. And you're exactly right. The earlier that you start, the better. But the other thing is that it's never too late to start. That's the one thing that I want to impart. And there are little things that you do make such a huge difference. So I start women out with doing one thing for 5 minutes a day. Just start with one little thing, and that'll make a difference, and keep building from there.
Like when you say start with one thing, exercise wise or eating wise, or just whatever it is that they feel that they need to improve on?
Well, the program that I have is called Health, HEALTH, and each one of those stands for something. So the first one I have is hydrate. And so I talk about take 5 minutes a day and look at how you're hydrating your body. And when I say hydrate, I mean what you're taking in orally, drinking, but also what you're putting on your skin, because your skin is the largest organ in your body. It's huge. It can be up to 12% of your body weight. How you treat your skin and hydrate it and keep it nourished is important, as well as how much you drink, and not only how much, but what you drink. So I use a policy of kind of crowding out. I don't tell people they cannot have coffee. What I say is, for every cup of coffee that you drink 2 cups of water, because that offsets the dehydration that happens with caffeine. And it's much easier for someone to decide what they're going to do rather than to make it the forbidden fruit. Because we never want to be in a position in which we feel like we're having to do without something. We're making a different choice. We're deciding that we want to do something that is empowering rather than living in a philosophy of scarcity.
That's great advice. I mean, it really is. I drink about a gallon of water a day. I mean, I'm 72, and everybody always says my skin and everything is so, nice looking and all that. And, these actually are not only for women, but men too. I mean, men have to hydrate and, watch what they eat and watch what they take in.
They do.
What we do. What is the rest of the formula that you use, the health?
So I talk about the H is hydrate. E is for eating, and that's eating to feed the body and my soul, right? So what I take in, eating for the soul will be things like, what do you do to make yourself feel better? What are the things that you enjoy in life, and how can you bring more of that food for the soul into your body? A is attitude of gratitude. Finding something in your life that you like. So one of the things that I ask women to do is to look in the mirror and pick out one feature in their face that they like, and then figure out how to accent that, and to look at yourself and see that positive thing rather than, oh my God, my eyebrows are not even, or, my nose is too long, or my ears aren't even, or whatever it might be, right? So find something you like. L is for let your body move and groove. And I start really simple with that. Again, this is 5-minute stuff. The first initial part of this is find a song that you like to dance to. And I mean, just shake your booty kind of dancing. And do that at least once a day. And then later, when you start to feel better about it, add a second song. But it's about being able to move. And who doesn't like to dance? This weekend, I was at a tango event in Greece, and there was a toddler, and she was just bouncing and standing in place and moving to the music. And I thought, it's universal. Dance is for everyone. So shake your booty at least 5 minutes a day to start with. T is for training your body to sleep and to relax. There is so much that happens when we sleep. It regenerates the body. We get rid of all of the byproducts that have built up from during the day, all of the toxins. That's like for our brain, that's like a computer update, right? Because the brain gets rid of all of the stuff that doesn't need to be there. It reorganizes things. It improves memory. All of that is what happens when you sleep. So sleep is really, really important. H is for healthy thoughts and actions. So doing things that are healthy for you, or for example, if you have somebody that you're around, that whenever you're around them, it makes you feel really bad. You're either stressed out or you're too tired. So looking at, do I really want to be around this person, or do I really want to do this activity that doesn't make me feel good? Or when I look in the mirror, do I say to myself, oh my God, I'm so fat? Doesn't, look in the mirror and say, this is where I am today, but doesn't mean that's where I'm going to be tomorrow. Or this dress looks nicer on me. Oh, I have one hair that looks really nice on this side of my face, right? Whatever it is. But training your body or training your mind so that when you're starting all of those negative or downward spiral thoughts, you stop, take a breath, and think of something else. And gradually those thoughts will dissipate. So that's the health program.
Mm-hmm. It's really great. I really like it. I want to go to the eating aspect because I've done an alkaline diet. I've done keto. I've done a lot of different diets. And, I've found out we as Americans in our diet don't realize how much sugar that we take in daily in our bodies.
Yep.
And, at my age, I started feeling some of the things you did too, the brain fog and that kind of thing, not being able to remember things and, short-term things and all that. But the minute I cut out sugar out of my diet, it really changed for me. I have so much more clarity. I don't drink coffee. I just drink water, and I don't drink soft drinks and that. So, I think eating is really, really important for us. And I try to eat a lot of greens and all that. But, with me, it's not, I haven't taken off that much weight off of myself. And I often wonder what it is. I know part of it is I have always led an extremely active life. And now I have shifted into becoming an author and writer and podcaster and all that. And I spend more time at a desk than I ever did out on, working, construction jobs and all the different things I've done in my life, playing semi-pro baseball and all those things that I was so active. And the amount of food that you get used to taking in and then adding the age factor into it, you have to really take into consideration the caloric intake that you bring into your body versus what you're expending. And I think the older we get, it's harder to understand.
I agree. There are also some changes in the way we metabolize food. I think your point about sugar is excellent because sugar causes swelling in the body, and swelling, inflammation causes fluid retention, especially around the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also puffiness in the face. It then feeds a cycle where the fat cells around in the middle start to decide they're going to pull in more food to make fat. Food is coming into metabolism. So your body is not running the way that it should be running because it's putting all of the food into fat, drops your metabolic rate even more. So you put on even more fat.
The need to have closure in any given situation is sheer human nature. And when it comes to romantic relationships, this desire skyrockets. Has your previously failed relationship left you in immense pain? It's not uncommon for people to shy away from a new relationship after their first one fails miserably. The fear of the unknown makes them hide in a shell to prevent any future heartbreak. Relatable? Despite wanting to love and be loved, you can't take the plunge if your mind and heart are still locked somewhere in the past. Maybe you aren't aware of the power of releasing the past, or perhaps you don't know how to do it. Art Costello in his online course teaches the art of moving on from bad places to happier, more stable ones. This course can change your life for good, helping you beat all kinds of negativity on the road to eternal bliss. Sign up now before the gloominess gets the better of you at expectationacademy.com.
Well, it's discouraging in a way, but we just keep on. We have to do what's right, because if you don't do what's right, then you'll never get it right. So I just do what I'm comfortable with. Uh-huh. And I think that that's part of what you're saying too, in the part about your thoughts and actions, is becoming comfortable with who you are and how you live. One of the other things that I have learned about is it's not only what we take in, but it's what we put out. And gut health is really important. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I do. As part of my work as a pharmacist, my area that I spent many, many years in, over 15 years, was in antibiotic therapy and anti-infectives. And particularly in an environment where the people were so sick, they had to have the medication administered intravenously. So that means they were on them for 6, 8, 12, sometimes a year. Those drugs change the gut. They change the bacteria that exist in the gut, as well as things like, ibuprofen and aspirin and antacids and all of those kinds of things. And now we know that the health of your gut is directly related to your health mentally and to your health physically. We also know that what you eat impacts what's in your gut. So if you have a high sugar diet, you're not going to have the right bacteria in your gut to be able to control the swelling and inflammation, the things that you need to do to be able to sleep well, achiness, all those kinds of things. But as you shift your diet, the gut bacteria change as well. So I do recommend that people get natural probiotics like in their food, things like yogurt with active cultures in it, kombucha, homemade sauerkraut, pickles that are made, made in a certain way rather than just having straight vinegar and those kinds of things, but the kind of the old-time pickle recipes. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that likes pickle juice.
Yeah, exactly. I used to drink it as a kid too.
I can't do kombucha though. I haven't found a kombucha yet that I can get down. It just doesn't sit with me very well.
Yeah, and I probably had maybe 20 or 30 varieties, and there are only a couple that I can use. So I prefer to have my greens, and then once in a while I'll have some yogurt. There's a sauerkraut that I buy that has to be refrigerated because it's not made with vinegar. It's just naturally fermented. But any kind of fermented foods, kimchi is another one that's really great about that. Almost every culture has some type of fermented food.
Mm-hmm.
It works to keep a healthy gut.
Yeah, and gut health is almost as important as the rest of your health, but people don't realize it. You got to stay regular. So anyway, moving on. I was really interested in your dance in tango.
Oh, yes.
How did you get started in tangoing?
Well, I had seen a production of something in college, and in that play, there was a scene in which the people danced tango. Jacques Brel is alive and well. So I had always wanted to do it. And it wasn't until I was at a Neiman Marcus, they were having like an open house event. And as part of that, they were serving champagne, and there was a couple there dancing tango. So I happened to talk to one of the guys, and he said, "Hey, there's a community here in Minnesota. Why don't you come? And here's the website, and here's where the teachers are, and those kinds of things." And I've been hooked ever since. I went to my first dance, and there was a lesson at the beginning of it. And I was absolutely dreadful, but the people were so kind and so nice about it. And I was, you might say, a wee bit obsessed. I was dancing probably 6 or 7 days a week. After I'd been dancing for 8 months, I went down to Argentina for 3 weeks. And so, it's just, it has a lot of things about it that are really fabulous. One is the music is quite complex and it's very interesting. It is a social network of people. I've traveled all over the world for dancing and met people, and we kind of swap. For example, I've gone someplace and stayed with somebody who does tango, and I've had people come stay with me. I have found that because I like the dancing so much, I'm doing exercises in order to support my ability to dance better. And I do stretches because when you walk backwards in 3-inch heels for like 3 hours, then your body kind of needs something to address that. But on a brain level, it also does some really awesome things. It causes the release of oxytocin, which is a great natural kind of high producing and very community oriented kind of, it's like hugging. You're basically hugging for 12 minutes and then you move on and you hug somebody else for 12 minutes. So it's really a great dance as far as that's concerned. And it's really given me lots of joy. And I enjoyed it so much that I decided, well, maybe I want to teach this, because when you obviously teach something, then you have a whole higher level of understanding of how it works and what happens with it. And I really enjoyed that aspect as well. So I love it. It's my favorite form of exercise and social interaction, and it's just fabulous.
Has anyone ever inspired you to discover a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled you? It is a magical experience, isn't it? Inspiration is indeed very powerful, yet it's often undermined. It can lift you from the ground to the sky in no time. Have you ever thought about returning the favor by inspiring the people around you? If you don't think you have it in you, we have good news for you. Art Costello's online course has everything you need to learn to supercharge yourself and shape your character into a powerful personality. Get ready to discover your strengths and unleash the creativity within. Don't believe it? Check it out yourself by signing up for this life-changing course at expectationacademy.com. That's expectationacademy.com.
Yeah, I've always thought of the tango as a romantic dance.
Yeah.
That it has elements of romance in it, and in the movement of it is so fluid, that it just, there's a beauty part of it that just really resonates with me.
And the interesting aspect of it is it's all improvisation. And
Really?
yes, so that you have a base vocabulary with tango that you know and understand, but everybody interprets the music in a different way. And that's part of the joy of dancing with different people. For example, I have somebody that I really like to dance waltz with, and somebody else that I like to dance what is called a tango, which has a different beat, and different people that I like to dance milonga with, which is a very much faster beat. Certain orchestras, I like the way that some people dance it. And so it's just, it has that aspect of romance, but it also has a very deep connection to the person that you're with. And one of the things that when I started that I noticed that actually brought me the most joy is that you cannot think about anything else other than what you're doing at that time, because you're focused on the interaction of the two people and moving in time with the music and with everybody else that's on the dance floor.
That's what I was just thinking. I was just thinking there's an improvisational element to it. You really need to be in tune with your dance partner, and you really have to be in tune with the music. So your brain is kind of really functioning at a higher level with that. Because I was not aware that, I thought it was set steps and you did this and you did this and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So it surprises me that it's like that, because most other dances, I mean, in genres, I'm talking about square dancing and country dancing and all that, even rap, they have set beats and moves that are pretty much predetermined, where the tango evidently is very free-flowing, and I'd like that, because my brain works like that. I just like to go with the flow of things.
Yeah, they've actually found that it changes your brain, and they're using it as a treatment in Parkinson's disease. And are finding that it has one of the best modalities because of the complexity of the music and the improvisational nature. But it's also used they're trying it in PTSD and in depression. And so I don't think of it as therapy when I go do it, but it is. And furthermore, I get a costume when I go dancing. So that's even more fun.
Yeah, but I think any kind of dance can be therapy if you let it be. It's good for the soul to move.
Yes, it is.
Just standing around and doing nothing. So I had a question for you. This has been intriguing me. What is whip?
Whip. It's not what one typically thinks of when one says whip, but it is a woman who is hot, intelligent, and in her prime. And so this is not a term that I came up with, but I really like it, because as a woman, I can decide what for me is hot and what I feel is hot. And I know what my prime is. I am there now, and I'm going to be there until the day that I die.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
it really is.
So for me, it's empowerment. It's being able to recognize that, I don't have to be 20 or 30 to be considered to be in my prime, there are things that emotionally, mentally, and physically that I can do now that I couldn't do then. I have a better understanding of my body and how it works. I know a lot more about what it is that I want. And I'm not so worried about what other people think.
Yeah, for me, I've never, because I write about expectations a lot, and I don't worry about what other people think because I live to my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And people have told me that they think that that's selfish and all that, but I call it self-care. When you take care of yourself and your own emotional state, and I learned it at a very young age because I had to figure out life on my own at 9 years old because I didn't have input from anyone to teach me about life. So I had to figure out everything on my own. And that I found throughout my life is what empowered me. But, now that in 2006, I lost my wife to ovarian cancer and I fell apart and I put myself back together. But I know now that I am a better version of myself than I have ever been in my life. Here I am, 72. I won't ever quit working, or I don't even consider this work, but I won't ever quit doing and sit in a chair and vegetate. I guess the word is I'll never retire, because when we retire, and it reminds me of what you're talking about, because, the more active you are with tangoing and dancing and all of these things, it is so reinvigorating and rejuvenating your soul and your mind and your body. And it just makes everything so fun. Life becomes more fun. One of the things that always bothers me is that people in our culture are of the belief that once you hit 60, 55, 60, 65, that you retire and that you go sit in a rocking chair till you die. And we have so many people in this country that are doing exactly that because they worked their 30 some years at the job. They got their gold watch. They got their retirement. The check comes in. Social Security comes in. But they have so much to offer this world from the experience that they have, but they don't realize it. Do you think that that's true? Do you find that?
I think ageism is a big problem. And to me, part of that is the expectations of society. Society saying that once you get beyond a certain age, then you don't need to do anything more. And it's true, you don't need to, but there is so much that can be contributed. There are many cultures that consider once a person has stopped working in that job that they become kind of an elder in the community, or they're someone who becomes more of a sage or has wisdom or those kinds of things. There is so much that they can impart. And to spend the 55 years worth of knowledge and just let it sit in a chair is sad.
Don't know which direction you want your life to take? Are you sinking deep down into the pit of uncertainties day by day? So, what's the secret to leading a happy, satisfied life? It's taking matters into your own hands. But what if the matters in question are a total blur? Art Costello's Expectation Academy course aims to tell you exactly how you can get some clarity in your life. This course can be your savior on your journey to reinventing yourself. While you certainly can't plan your whole future ahead, you can definitely control twists and turns your life takes. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for this course now at expectationacademy.com. Get a chance to broaden your horizons and add meaning to your life. That's expectationacademy.com.
I was just in the airport in St. Louis, and I was sitting next to a couple. And whenever I go anywhere, I can't help but my mouth flaps and I talk to people. I got to meet people. And I introduced myself and I asked him, I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I just retired." And I said, "Wow, you retired young." Because he looked young.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm 52. He said, "And I worked in the California penal system, in the prison system for 30 years. And I went, "Wow, that's a long time to be working in a prison," because I have some experience when I was in the Marine Corps. I was a brig guard and all that, and know what it means to work in a prison. But then he said to me, I asked him, what are you going to do now that you're retired? And he said to me, I'm going to go sit in a chair in my home in California, and I don't plan on moving until they bury me. And I said, that's sad. And I said, you're so young and you have so much to offer. And I said, you're BSing me. You're not going to do that. And his wife said to me, oh, no. She said, he's been retired a month now. And in order to get him to go with me, she said, I had to bribe him. She said, because he literally will sit in the chair and do nothing. And I said, you need to get yourself going, because if you don't, you're going to wilt away.
Yeah, but my philosophy is you stop moving, you die. That's pretty much the way that, what I wonder is if he's not got PTSD or something, if there's not something else going on that, I don't know, the fact that he's just going to sit in a chair until the day that he dies, that's sad.
It's very sad. And, and I don't know, wasn't able to spend enough time with him. I had about 40 minutes between flights, and I talked to him as much as I could about finding a passion. I mean, I asked him, do you like to fish? Do you like, nah. It showed in his persona.
Yeah.
It really did. So you may be right. He may have been traumatized for working 30 years in the prison system and
right.
And all that, which is really, really sad.
Yeah. Well, and I find that there are kind of two camps. One is the camp that doesn't have the will to do anything. And the other camp is the camp that thinks that they can't do something because they're too old, or because they don't feel good, or because other people in society think that that's not acceptable, or whatever it might be. I just use examples like, okay, Helen Mirren walked down the runway at 74 years old in Fashion Week for L'Oreal in September. And we have the woman who's Lancôme, Isabel Rossellini. Lancôme decided they didn't want her when she was in her 50s, and now she's 60 plus, maybe even in her 70s, and they asked her to come back and be the spokesperson. So there's more of an opening now in society, but I think as individuals, we need to take the reins and say, this is what I can do, and I don't care whether you think I can or can't do it, or whether it's appropriate. It goes back to being a wet, right?
Actually, that's a big part of my expectation formula, because once you let other people's expectations rule your life, you give up your power. You give up you, and you live to their expectations and not your own. And what you're saying is very, very true. When you live to your expectations and to what I call them wants, needs, and desires are, once you live to those, that's where happiness lies. That's why I think I'm so happy at this point in my life, because I don't live to other people's expectations. I haven't any other part of my life. Why should I start now?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then I don't use the word can't, because can't is just another way of saying I don't want to, or I won't, and those things don't exist. I'm blessed that I've done everything in my life that I've wanted to do, and I have so much more that I'm going to do. And that's what I care about. So
that's great.
Well, I try to live it, my body's changing, and, medical issues. My knees are bad from playing so much baseball all my life. I was a catcher. But, up and down all that time. But you know what? I still get around and I still move pretty good. And, I just keep going. Nothing will stop me. So it's my mindset. It's when you have a mindset of being a doer that it makes a difference. And that's what I want people to understand. Take care of yourself. Do all these things that we've talked about tonight. But become a doer. Just start doing things.
It makes such a big difference. And doing things that maybe are a little outside of your comfort zone are also things that I find are really help build the confidence. But also it's like, well, I can do that. What else have I thought of that I would like to do that I haven't tried? And what's stopping me? And just give it a shot. If it doesn't work, no big deal. You can try something else, or you can go back and try it again. It makes life exciting.
Yeah, which brings me to one of the things I was thinking about. You were saying that you've traveled all over dancing.
Yes.
Where are some of the places? I know you said Greece. Where are some of the places you've traveled to?
So I've traveled all over in the U.S., East Coast, West Coast, Montreal, India, and in Argentina. So just a few places. And I've got, basically I dance tango on every continent except for Australia. And I'm not planning on going to Antarctica. We'll just pull that one off the table right now. There might be tango there, but I'm not going there. It's cold enough in Minnesota.
Well, I'm going to encourage you to go to Australia. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was stationed with the Australian Rangers, and I rotated and spent 2 weeks over in Sydney with them. And of course, this is back in 1965, so it's changed, but I love Australia. I tried to immigrate there, and I couldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they wouldn't let me because I didn't have a skill they needed. So I was a machine gunner in the Marine Corps, and they weren't looking for machine gunners.
Yeah, that's kind of a, selective skill.
So what do you have coming up?
So I'm getting ready to launch my next program that'll be launching in January, but I'm going to have a Black Friday sale and a Cyber Monday sale. Okay. So stay tuned. You'll find me on Facebook and Ageless Life. I'll have information that I post there. I also have a private group that if you want to pop into that, I give more tips and training and those kinds of things. Or they can contact me at diana@anagelesslife.com, and I'd be happy to set up some time to chat with them, or check me out on Facebook or my website.
We will have all of this in the show notes, audience, so that you can find where to find Diana. And I'm gonna tell you, for the young people that are listening to me, reach out to her. Encourage your parents to reach out to her, and encourage your grandparents to reach out to her. She's making a difference in this world by using skills that she's learned throughout her life to dance and all that. And Diana, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm so thankful that you were able to share your journey with us, and it's been great, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, it has, and we'll do it again. So.
Sounds good.
Okay, and with that, everybody, it's time to say goodbye, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And like I said, you know where you can get a hold of the show notes in the show. All the information will be on there for Diana, for you to make contact with her. And you know where you can get a hold of me, expectationtherapy.com. And with that, I will say good night. And Heather White, go ahead and take us out of here.
Thanks for listening to the show. Drop us your comments and questions with what you want answered on the show. You can subscribe on iTunes and Binge Network. You can also get more information on the website, expectationtherapy.com.